Well, hello internet. Welcome to Art's Art. My name is Art. Let's do some art today, shall we? Today I'm going to be making hopefully something that's a little bit simpler than the last thing that I made. It's going to be a one character composition I tentatively call the Calligraphist. Have you ever seen the movie Hero? It's a little bit old, but it's visually like stunning. There's a scene in that movie where Jet Li and this lady is fighting off an army outside this calligraphy school. And inside, there's a bunch of calligraphy students and this guy in particular who's doing this huge calligraphy piece on this floor-sized paper. It's really, really cool. So mine is gonna be a lady holding basically like a broom-sized brush, and she's writing out characters for art, life, and possibly, if it fits, perseverance. Okay, we are almost there. Not bad, actually, especially for being a little bit out of practice. I think we've got a pretty good foundation to start doing some real posing in just a few minutes. She's gonna be, you know, standing with a broom. I'm thinking something like one-handed, actually, because I don't like two-handed feels too much like a broom. One-handed with a long, long brush feels a little bit better, a little bit like fencing. Let me start moving this around and we'll kind of see where we land. Right-handed or left-handed? I think right-handed, why not? I like to try and twist the waist and the neck. You don't want it to be flat. You don't want everything to be like on one plane. So by twisting it around, you add some dimensionality to your composition. Ooh, I like that. I like that. I think I might have just found it. I think it's now time to start thinking about the dress, which I will be using our old friend, the paper towel. She's writing Chinese calligraphy on the ground, so I want her to be wearing something Chinese, but I also want it to be something very revealing and provocative and intimate feeling, so I actually want her to be in traditional Chinese underwear, as if we've caught her in a very private calligraphy session. That's kind of what I'm going for. Yeah, okay. I'm pretty happy with this. You know what I need to do, actually? I need to research those letters. I need to see if this pose is actually going to work. The problem is, I don't know Chinese. Even though I am Chinese, I don't know Chinese or calligraphy to any degree. So it feels kind of strange to try and construct a sentence, or even more ideally, something a little bit poetic in a language that I don't know anything about. I have here some letters. So I think what I'm actually gonna do is simplify it a bit, because there's an alternate version of art. This. One for art and one for skill, translated according to ChineseWord.com as something that is created with imagination and skill, that is beautiful or that expresses important ideas or feelings. So I feel like let's just use these two characters because it sounds pretty close to what I was intending. Yeah. Something like that. Okay, I think this is gonna work. Okay, so I think the next thing to do is actually to make her face. Now that we kind of know that compositionally this thing is probably gonna work, I think it's time to go ahead and get specific. For this one, I'm really gonna try to achieve a soft, gentle, feminine look with her face. I've been told in the past that my female faces can be a little bit angular and sometimes even severe, but I don't even disagree with that. Even when I've tried to make a pretty looking female character, they're often like in a scowling face. You let me know in the comments whether or not I've achieved that. Now for her hair, I'm gonna give her long hair. I think it's gonna give me some nice flowy lines to add to that soft and gentle effect. We'll see whether this works out by the end. Obviously this is just temporary. This is just a mock-up to test out the hairstyle. I think I'm actually ready to actually get started sculpting this thing. I think I'm done coming up with ideas. It feels very strange to not go through like 3 or 4 different versions of this idea to come up with the best one, but I like this a lot. I like this so much that I don't think I want to try anything else. So next step is to take off all this paper towel stuff and really clean up the anatomy, and then put on some clay clothing and then we'll do the hair. I'm going to probably spend a few full sessions trying to get the anatomy exactly right, or as right as I know how to make it. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Normally, what I try to do is bring the entire figure up together. You kind of don't really want to overly refine one part and then have to avoid touching that section as you finish the rest of the sculpt. But in this case, her outfit is going to be so skin tight that it's going to benefit a lot from having a really good version of her anatomy to build on top of. If I don't solve a lot of the anatomy problems now, I think I'm going to have a really hard time making her outfit look right when it comes time to do that. The other reason is because it's actually a pretty good opportunity for me to learn anatomy in this case. You know, most of the time my characters are, you know, wearing clothes. So there's just a lot of opportunity to just hand wave your way through and say, you know, I don't need to do that. He's gonna be wearing pants or she's gonna be wearing a skirt. It doesn't need to look perfect. So I don't need to spend extra time to get the anatomy just right. So I can just skip that. But what that means is that I haven't had a lot of practice doing straight up human body. So I'm taking this as a learning and training opportunity. So it's like having an anatomy study session built into sculpting this whole piece as well. Dress time. Basically, this is like a big towel or bed sheet. I'm gonna try to use the wetted down paper towel model as a rough reference. I'm not sure exactly how that's gonna work out, but the general folds and crinkles feel okay. So obviously it's not exactly like a to-scale cloth reference, but I'm gonna try to use this model as a reference and see if I can get away with doing that. And for her top, I'm gonna try to make this a little bit more close to the skin than the real life underwear would really be, because being that it's just a piece of cloth hung by a few strings, it can make your torso look a little bit more tubular, and I don't think the sculpture is gonna benefit a lot from a tubular piece of cloth resting over most of her torso. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. What do you think, guys? Good enough to make this permanent? I'm gonna send this picture to some friends. I've asked a few people whose opinion I trust, and the general consensus is no. No, it doesn't work, and I actually agree with them. It just feels too much like a top. She's just like, it just feels like she's not wearing pants. Which, I mean, she isn't, but it's not congruent. Like, she's wearing a top, but she's just wearing what amounts to like a sheet for a bottom. Why didn't she put pants on if she bothered to put a shirt on, right? So I'm gonna take this off. I was wondering when the troubles were gonna show up, and I was feeling nervous about the top, and yep, that's exactly what happened. But it's also a good lesson in following your instincts. The reality of it is that I was not confident with the design. Like, because if I was confident about it, then I wouldn't ask. If I looked at it and said, yes, that definitely worked, I would have just like kept going, stopped there and just kept going. But I didn't. A part of me on the inside was like, something about this doesn't look right. Let me vet it with some people and see what they have to say about it. It actually makes me strangely feel better to know that this didn't work. It actually built my confidence in my instinct. The little part of my brain that cries out when it's not working is worth listening to, you know? So yeah, I feel actually really good about this, even though I'm having to scrap the design. So I think what might actually work better for this is if I just follow the pieces of cloth motif. Yeah, it's already, I can feel this. This is not gonna work. This is not gonna work. That's okay. We're just gonna try a bunch of different designs. It might be that the best thing for this character is actually for her to go topless, but I don't really want to do a topless character. Not just because of YouTube, but it's just not really what I'm trying to do with this one. I don't want it to be like overtly sexified in that way. So maybe she can just be wearing like kind of a wrap top. See, that actually works for me. Okay, that works for me. Because now it follows the same theme. right? Now every piece of clothing that she wears follows the same like flowing fabric theme. All right, it's time to build ourselves a shawl. I'm going to once again use the paper towel model as a reference. It shouldn't be too bad, it's just a piece of cloth. Rather than concentrating on being hyper accurate with the fabric, I'm gonna try instead to catch the flow of the lines and try not to worry too much about whether or not it's technically right and try to get it to feel right instead. Okay. I've realized a couple things. I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to this scarf, and I have been ignoring a rule that I try to follow myself, and that is, if you don't know something, don't guess. Just go look it up. If you think you know, take a swing at it, and if it doesn't look right, you obviously don't know, so just stop guessing. This is something that I found for myself. If I don't know how something works, I will never get it unless I actually look up a reference. And even if I did get it, it would be an accident and I got lucky and I didn't learn anything from it, you know? That's just me. So in this case, it is time to go get a reference. An actual scarf. Hey, would you look at that? I totally forgot that I had something like this, and this is actually pretty much what I had imagined that she was doing. That is like, okay, she got up in the middle of the night, she couldn't sleep, so she decides to get up to go do some art. And it's cold, so she picks up a little shawl to put it on, and as she works, as she's doing her thing, it kind of falls down like this. This is my reference right here. Right here, I can adjust this a little bit. Yeah, okay, all right, I can work with this. Yeah, so obviously it didn't work when I tried to just freehand it. By the way, it's not like I'm following the reference super duper precisely, because that's still not the point. The point is the previous version just wasn't believable as a piece of cloth. And to me, that's what I feel I need in order to make a stylized version of something. Like, it has to be believable as the object that it's intended to be in the first place before I can put my own spin on it. This is like a show about what not to do as a sculptor. I'm going to move on to her face and hair. I've really come to like the bun. I really have. And like how much of her back you can see. I was trying to get it to look like she just got up out of bed. I don't think I succeeded, because I had somebody take a look at it, at least an earlier version of it, and they said, oh, it looks like a bridal bun. I'm like, wow, that is the actual opposite of what I was aiming for. But I don't think it's too bad. Even if it doesn't look quite like the way I want it to look, it's still a good exercise in doing very detailed hair. I haven't done hair to this extent yet, so this is all a new experience for me. It's very intense, very like high concentration. Gotta sit here and really zone into getting this done. But I think we're okay. Next step, we're gonna work on the board and the letters, final cleanup, and we are good. So just a couple things left to do, man. We are so close to the finish line. Nothing too fancy. It's just two boards screwed together from the bottom side so the top is nice and clean. She needs to be... What happened there? Anyway, we're gonna do these letters in clay. We just need to figure out the right size. I've got a few of them. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to trace a mirrored copy of the letters with like a nice heavy graphite. Basically something heavier than a number 2 pencil. And then I'm gonna flip that over and press those tracings onto the board, which should leave me with a nice copy of the letters going the right way. And then I'm going to mush some clay on top of that tracing to make it look like she's drawn these characters down, except all in clay. I sure hope this is gonna work, because I don't actually have a backup plan if it doesn't work. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't see a reason why it wouldn't work, but this wouldn't be the first time where I think something is gonna work and then it doesn't. I think that's the letters. I like their spacing and their size way better in this version now. You go figure, right? You do something that you've never done before, and it takes a couple of practice rounds to get it right. So anyway, now I'm gonna finally work on our girl. again, what I've realized at this point is that just like the shawl, I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to this dress. The problem right now is that the size of the fabric is too perfect. Like there's no excess fabric. If this piece of fabric was just something that she picked up in the middle of the night and it's not fitted to her, there should be a lot of extra fabric flowing around. In this case, I'm gonna add some ruffles to the front of this thing to show that this is just a loose sheet and not a perfectly cut dress. And again, I'm not following the reference precisely. I'm using it as a guide, but oh man, what a difference. Just some ruffles in front adds so much to this piece. I just can't believe I even thought that it could work without it. But hey, it's all live and learn, right? This is all training for me. So in that sense, it's a win that I'm going through all these failures and I'm hopefully becoming a better artist and a better sculptor as a result. Oh my goodness, it works. Oh man. Confession time. I have not actually seen this. Everything up until now has been some kind of mock-up. Either she's on the little pedestal or the letters weren't fully formed. This is the first time I've seen this sculpture actually assembled, and I am so happy with this. I am so happy with this. It's such an amazing feeling to finally see what you had imagined in your mind take full shape like this. So from here on out, I just gotta do some surface finishes, little cleanup here and there, and that's it. I'm gonna do that, run the epic final reveal footage, and I'll see you after that's over for the closeout. Well, here we are. This was supposed to be a shorter, simpler sculpt, such as life. It ended up taking forever anyway. By the way, I did change her dress around again after I did the epic reveal footage that you just saw. So if you wanted to see what the final version of this sculpt looks like, go check out my Instagram at @archongart. Anyway, that's been it. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.